So when I was younger, I used to go to this youth club. If you don't know what that means, it's basically just a little centre run by some adults, maybe some volunteers a little bit older than you. And you go there and it just keeps you off the streets, basically. There's stuff to do, like play pool in this particular one. It was run by a charity. People there were quite supportive, but the whole point of me was going, it was to hang out with my friends on the evenings after school. So this club was basically for 11 to 17-year-olds, I think. So I was around 13, 14 at the time. Now, opposite this youth club, there was a little sort of play area, a little bit of green park and a couple of swings, slides, that sort of thing. So I wasn't too old to never go on a swing again, so we were just sort of hanging out in the park. You know, we weren't doing anything in particular, just chatting outdoors, basically. It was in the winter, and it was probably about 7 p.m, I don't know, a bit later than that, 8 p.m. maybe, and it was dark, completely dark, but I live in quite an urban area, so it was well lit, everything like that. So we're basically in one corner of the park, me and a group of friends, say about 3 or 4 of us, and in the other corner of the park, there's some older kids. Now, by older kids, I mean they were like 15, 16, but when you're 12, 13, 14, 1 or 2 years older than you, it's quite a big difference. You know, when you're 25 or whatever and someone's 26, it doesn't matter so much, but when you're younger, that can be quite a lot of maturity. So these kids were a little bit more rebellious than us. They were actually drinking alcohol in the park. Now, in the country I live, in the United Kingdom, you're not allowed to drink alcohol till you're 18. So these kids were underage drinking. And they were being quite noisy. They weren't really causing any problems. There's some houses sort of nearby, but you're outdoors in an urban area on a Friday night. There's a lot of noise. But anyway, we're just minding our own business. These kids aren't even talking to us. We sort of know them. They're like friends of friends, so they're not like enemies of us, but they're nothing to do with us, nothing to do with our group at this point in time. So we're all just minding our own business, and all of a sudden a police van shows up, and we're just there like, okay, well, we're sitting on the swing, so we don't have to worry. And the police van goes over to these kids, so obviously they all leg it. They all run. Some of us will run past us, some of us run the opposite direction, whatever. We don't get involved. The police can't do anything to these kids anyway. They're not doing anything major, they're just being a little bit noisy. So I just carry on doing what I'm doing. What I actually happen to be doing at this point in time is unwinding a swing from being flipped over the top of the bars. So just try and picture this. You've got a swing, hangs down on the 2 chains, you've got the little swing seat. Someone has pushed this swing, so it's so hard it's gone over the top. And they've pushed it again, so it's gone over like 3 times. And I want to use the swing, so I'm pushing it the opposite direction. So I'm untangling it from the top of these bars. A few seconds later, there's a policeman behind me, and he just grabs me, doesn't say anything, and he just drags me over to where they've parked the car. And I'm like 13, 14 years old. I've been pushing a swing. I'm at a youth club. I am absolutely shitting my pants right now. I'm just like, why is this oh my god, let's go. I haven't done. And I was unwinding the swing, and he was just like, I saw what you were doing. I was like, I wasn't actually crying. I was like, when you're so stunned, you're speechless. It's literally speechless. It's just like, I was just pushing a swing. I wasn't like being particularly coherent at this point. So he just makes me stand by this van for a while as him and his colleague just sort of, assess the situation. And I think his colleague, a female police officer now, she was looking at me, and now that I think back, I feel like she was just like, why is my colleague just pulled this guy? He's pushing a fucking swing. There's a bunch of 16-year-olds here getting pissed, and this guy's just pushed a swing, and my colleague's brought him over. What the hell? So I stood there for a while, and a couple of my friends came over, and they're like, what's going on? And the police guy was just like, we're taking him. My friends were like, what? He was pushing a swing. And the policeman would have none of it. So one of my friends happened to have my coat. They gave me my coat back, and then the guy was just like, is that his coat? I was like, yeah. He's like, right. So next thing I know, they put me in the police van. I am so scared. I just don't know. I'm like, oh my god, am I going to get a criminal record? Am I going to jail? I didn't know what the hell was going on. So they put me in the car, and they're like, where do you live? So tell them where I live. And I happen to live like 15-minute drive away from this place. And they were like, what are you doing down here? I was like, I was at the youth club. My parents dropped me off. And I think I can tell now, again, as I think back, that he was just like, shit, this kid's just doing nothing. And we've put him in the police car, but they continue to drive me to my house. And there's there's probably about 3 or 4 local police departments between where these guys should be doing their policing and where my house is. It's completely stupid what they're doing, and they know it. So while I'm driving there, they're taking all my details, like, you know, my address, my name, my age, date of birth, whatever. I'm just like, oh my god. So they let me out of the car. Don't even wait to see if I get into my house or if I live anywhere around here. So I just get out of the car and go into my house. And my parents happen to be out at this point, so I just call my mum, and I've managed to calm down a little bit at this point. I'm like, okay, nothing's happened. They've just taken me back home. I don't know why, but it's okay. So I just call my mum. I'm much more calm now. I'm like, Mum, the police have taken me home. And she's, to be fair to her, I don't remember her flipping out. And she was just like, well, why? And then I told her the situation. She was like, right, we're coming home now, and we're taking you back down there. So we drive down to this police station, and fortunately, these 2 officers are back in the station. You know, they're not like out arresting more innocent children. And my mum then just has this conversation with the police officer, like, well, what has he done? Has he got a police record? And basically the guy's just like, oh, he was playing with the swing. And like, this guy must have known how ridiculous he sounded. And my mum was just like, you what, mate? And I remember the other police officer was in the room, the female one who was with him initially. She's just like, and like, obviously she can't just go, I'm so sorry for my mate, he's obviously a twat. She's just gotta, you know, she's gotta let him do it. Otherwise she's undermining the police force if she's saying, you know what, he's done something wrong. So this stupid conversation happens, and they're like, no, he's not got a criminal record. It's just like, just a warning or some shit like that. But the whole thing is done. So basically then, my parents dropped me back down to the youth club. And I spend the rest of my night just as normal, but oh my god, that's like, it's pretty scary. You know, I can laugh about it now. I probably laughed about it later that night, to be honest, but what the hell? And I don't want to undermine the police force as a whole, just this guy was an arsehole. And that's my story about how I got taken home by the police for pushing a swing.